few weeks ago, I uploaded a video where I asked ChatGPT to build a perfect beginner watercolor palette. And let's just say that comment section was some mixed opinions, let's just say. Some viewers absolutely loved the experiment. Others felt that artists should be learning from real people instead of artificial intelligence. Honestly, I think there's value in hearing both perspectives because while technology can be a useful tool, one thing many commenters reminded me of is there are incredible resources available that don't require AI at all. So today I'm swinging that pendulum in the opposite direction. No algorithms, no prompts, no artificial intelligence, just a resource that's been helping people learn for generations. The local library. And the best part, it's completely free. So today I'm heading to my local library to see what watercolor lessons I can find, pick up a new skill, and put into practice with a painting. So let's go. As artists, it's easy to fall into the habit of scrolling social media looking for inspiration. Don't get me wrong, there are plenty of amazing artists online, but libraries offer something a little bit different. Instead of endless content competing for your attention, you get carefully written books from artists who have spent years mastering their craft. So, let's see what we can find. One thing I love about the library is that it lets me explore ideas without committing to buying another book that might end up collecting dust on a shelf. Today I'm looking for watercolor instruction books and my goal is simple. Find one technique I've never really focused on before and put it into practice. Now, if you're only here to watch me paint, don't worry, I will leave a timestamp in the description so you can jump straight to the painting portion of this video. But before we get there, I wanted to share 4 watercolor books that I recently borrowed from my local library and really enjoyed. So coming in at number 4 is Watercolor Bootcamp by Pickerill. What I like most about this one is a huge range of skills that it covers. It starts with very basic exercises and supplies. For someone who has never picked up a watercolor brush before, but it gradually works its way towards beautiful finished paintings. If you're brand new to watercolor and looking for a place to start, this would be a great option. Coming in at number 3 is Watercolor School, a practical guide to painting with watercolor by Hazel Harrison. The thing I appreciated most about this book is that it shows 2 different artists painting the same subject. I thought that was really valuable because it demonstrates something every artist eventually learns. There isn't just one right way to paint something. Different artists can approach the exact same scene, exact same subject, and create completely different results. The runner-up is Reader's Digest book, How to Paint Watercolor Landscapes from Photograph to Sketch Your Very Own Masterpiece in 6 Easy Steps. The first section covers supplies, techniques, and practice exercises, but the majority of the book is packed with projects. Each project includes a large reference photo, along with a step-by-step instructions showing you exactly how to paint it. The subjects cover everything from skies and seascapes to buildings and woodland scenes. Honestly, this one would make a really fun challenge. Imagine painting one project every single day and then comparing your first project or your first painting to your last painting after 61 days. So maybe that's a challenge for another time, but preferably after this baby comes. But my favorite book, and the one we're going to focus on today, is Creating Luminous Watercolor Landscapes by Sterling Edwards. This book immediately caught my attention because of the style of painting is exactly the kind of watercolor work I've admired since I even started painting.
loose, expressive, full of light. The kind of paintings that somehow look effortless while being incredibly difficult to pull off. So today I'm going to put this book to the test and see if Sterling Edwards can teach me a thing or two about creating luminous watercolor landscapes. So let's get painting. As I'm working on this piece, I am realizing something interesting. Reading about a technique and actually using it are two very different things. Some parts are working exactly the way the author described, and some parts are definitely taking a little bit more practice. But that's actually what I love about learning this way. There's no pressure to create a masterpiece. The goal is simply to learn. The artist author recommends a palette of My Merry Blue paints, and while I was very tempted to give in to the overconsumption side of me and build a brand new, beautiful palette, I fought the temptation, did some research comparing the colors that he recommended to what I already had in my collection, and built a palette similar enough. Though I already had these paints in my collection, I've never used this combination of pigments, so some mistakes that you see me make in this first tree painting can be attributed to my lack of experience with the color palette. Plus, my average working size is the 9x12 inch Arches watercolor paper, so I am working a little bit larger, both in paper size and in brush size, which definitely challenged me in more ways than one. At the beginning of this painting, I found myself getting tense and trying to copy every brush stroke, which kind of defeats the purpose of a loose watercolor style. I ended up going back in and glazing over those background trees to revive them with a bit more color, less mixing on the palette, and more letting the colors flow together and blend on the page. Sterling Edwards talks about his 4-step process, which I don't want to give too much away of the content of this book, but the 4-step process is simple and very helpful to reference back to in the middle of the painting process. So step 1 is to block in the shapes and mid values while preserving the white of the paper. Step 2, add the darkest darks. Step 3, glaze selectively over the white space. And step 4, add the finishing details and refine. While my painting did not turn out exactly like the artist's, I had so much fun playing with a whole new color palette and techniques. If I were to do this painting again though, I would use more water to dilute those background trees and push the contrast. Now let's see if I can take what I learned from following Sterling's tutorial and apply it to one of my own reference photos. This image was taken during one of my trips to the Adirondacks, and I thought a sunset over the water would be the perfect subject to test out this 4-step process. I start with a loose sketch to establish where the mountains sit in the background and where the foreground trees will fall. Then I jump right into the water. I'm sticking with the same palette from Sterling's demonstration because I want to become more familiar with these colors and how they interact with one another. If you're interested in the colors that I'm using, I'll have them linked in the description below. Using a wet-on-wet approach, I begin laying in the midtones with phthalo blue and dioxazine purple, being careful to preserve some white space where the ripples will reflect that setting sun. And I have to admit, I'm enjoying this giant 2-inch brush more than I expected. It's amazing how much of the painting you can establish with just a few confident brush strokes. While the water is still damp, I switch to a clean 1-inch brush to lift out a few highlights along that shoreline. At this point, I technically stray away from Sterling's 4-step process by introducing some of the golden sunset color a little bit earlier than I planned. But we're going to keep moving forward and see what happens. Next comes the sky. I wet the paper first, then I dance in some diluted phthalo blue to suggest the cloud patterns while carefully preserving the area around the sun. Once that layer dries, I come back with a stronger mixture of phthalo blue and dioxazine purple to develop some of the darker cloud shapes. Now it's time for step 2, establishing the darkest darks. This is where the shadows in the water come to life and the tree silhouettes begin to take shape. I really try to loosen up here and not be afraid of the strong values. That contrast between the deep shadows and the warm glow of the setting sun is what makes this scene exciting. And honestly, it's making my heart sing a little bit. Step 3 is selectively glazing over some of those preserved white areas. I use a warm golden wash around the sun and in portions of the water reflection to unify the painting and strengthen that evening glow. And finally, step 4, adding some details and refining. This is where I can step back, evaluate what's working, make a few adjustments, and bring the whole painting together. I think one of the biggest advantages of using the library is that it exposes you to artists you might never discover otherwise. Every artist explains things differently, and sometimes one sentence from a book can make a concept click in a way that dozens of videos never did. Alright, here is the finished piece. Did I master the technique? Not even close. Did I learn something valuable? Absolutely, and all it cost was a trip to the library. So if you're looking to improve your watercolor skills, here is my challenge for you. Visit your local library, pick one watercolor book, learn one new thing, and create one painting inspired by it. You might be surprised how much progress you can make with a resource that's been sitting in your community all along. And if you try it, let me know in the comments what book you chose and what you learned. And if you enjoy watercolor, plein air painting, and creative adventures like this one, I would love it if you would subscribe and join me for the next video. That's it from me today. I'll see you next week, and until then, stay creative, stay faithful, and stay rooted in grace. Bye, guys.